My name is David. I'm 56 years old. I've been married for 16 years, or thought I had been. It started small, the kind of things you second-guess in the moment and only recognize for what they are after it's too late. Her phone started living face down. Password changed. Always on vibrate. She was always just tired. Started going to bed earlier, alone. Started dressing up for errands. Never wore perfume to the grocery store before. Still, I said nothing. That's the thing. I didn't want to be the jealous, aging husband accusing his younger wife of something just because the wind shifted in the house. So I waited. Watched. Logged patterns, not emotions. If you've ever kept your mouth shut just long enough to gather the truth, hit like, subscribe, and drop your name and city in the comments for a shout-out in the next story. Today's goes to Wendell from Sacramento, who said last week's revenge story reminded him what quiet dignity really means. The moment it changed wasn't dramatic. She said she was going to a women's wellness retreat in Arizona. That didn't fit. Not her style. But she booked it through her personal card, used her maiden name, and acted like she was doing me a favor by recharging out west. I called a private investigator the next morning. Someone I'd used once before in a business deal that went sideways. Clean, discreet, expensive, worth every penny. He followed her from the airport. She never made it to Arizona. The retreat was real, sure, but she didn't go there. She met a man in Denver. Not a stranger. Someone I knew. Someone who'd once been to our house. A junior architect for my firm. I'd mentored him, helped him pay down student loans, took him to dinner with senior partners. I even wrote the damn letter that got him his license. My PI handed me a folder. Photos, hotel receipts, time-stamped location data. Confirmed everything. That night, I sat in my den, door closed, lights off, and thought about every time I'd overlooked her distance, made excuses for her mood, swallowed questions just to keep the peace. But this wasn't about peace anymore. This was about control. And I still had more of it than she realized. She thought I'd fall apart. She thought I'd react. She forgot I'm the kind of man who plays the long game. The next morning, I called my attorney, the same one who handled my mother's estate years ago. Older guy, sharp as glass. Not the kind who blinks when things get messy. I told him I needed a divorce consultation. Not urgent, just quiet. He asked if I had a prenup. I did. We signed it before marriage, back when I still had most of what I own and she had student debt and a lease Camry. It was basic, split of assets accrued after marriage, but the house, the retirement accounts, and any business holdings I started before the wedding stayed mine. I also had something better than a prenup, a clean ledger. Every transfer, every tax return, every dollar spent was traceable. I'd always handle the finances. She didn't pay attention to money unless it was being spent. What I needed next was proof of misuse. Anything that could show she'd used marital funds for the affair. That changes everything in court. So I hired a forensic accountant, retired IRS guy, quiet, thorough. In 3 weeks, he found $8,740 in unusual withdrawals, hotel bills, flights, restaurant tabs in cities she supposedly never visited. She hadn't just cheated. She'd used our shared accounts to do it. That gave me leverage, not to hurt her, but to remove any path for her to come out of this clean. Next, I contacted my firm's board. Quiet meeting. No drama. Connor's been sleeping with my wife. I told them. We're filing for divorce. Here's the file. I didn't need to demand anything. They knew what to do. Conflict of interest, immediate reassignment, and a quiet statement about conduct. By the end of the week, Connor was put on leave. I left his name off the official complaint. I didn't need him fired. I needed him exposed. Let him explain to his wife, to his clients, to the people who used to trust him, why he vanished from project leadership in a company that doesn't tolerate personal matters bleeding into business. The final piece was the house. She still thought it was part of the marital estate. It wasn't. I'd inherited it, paid off before we married. She never bothered to check the title. That's the thing about betrayal. It makes people sloppy. They think once they've broken something, They control the pieces. But I still held the frame. I invited her to dinner. Nothing fancy. A place we used to go, quiet booths, good wine list, the kind of spot where people keep their voices low. She said yes, probably assuming I was about to apologize for being distant or ask if we could fix things. She wore red, the dress she always saved for special nights. The irony wasn't lost on me. We sat, ordered drinks. I asked her about her trip. She smiled and lied. Said it was restorative. Said the desert air cleared her head. I nodded. Let her have the performance. When the waiter walked away, I pulled out a folder. Slim. Clean. Just like the one I'd received weeks earlier. What's this? She asked, still smiling. Everything you've done since February. With Connor. Her face didn't drop. Not right away. Just froze. Eyes scanning mine to see how serious I was. She flipped open the cover. Photos. Dates. Bank statements. Email printouts. She reached for her wine glass, then stopped. I can explain. You won't need to. I handed her the second envelope. Divorce papers. Pre-filed. Petition on grounds of adultery and marital misconduct. Supported by financial evidence. Requesting waiver of spousal support due to breach of trust and documented use of joint funds for extramarital activities. She didn't say anything. I reached into my coat and handed her one last sheet. This is the quitclaim form for the house, I said. It's not yours. Never was. But I'll let you stay in the guest room for 30 days. After that, the locks change. You can't do this. I already did. I stood up, left cash for the bill, walked out. The next morning, she was served officially. Papers with signatures. The complaint included the forensic financial breakdown. There was nothing to fight, and she knew it. Connor sent me a text the following week. It wasn't personal, man. I didn't think it would go this far. I didn't respond. I forwarded it to HR. By Friday, his name was scrubbed from the firm's site. His contract terminated. No letter of recommendation. No whisper of support. Two people who thought they had it all hidden, exposed in 2 weeks by a man who never raised his voice. They don't talk about me now. They talk about what I proved. She moved into the guest room the next day, just like I said. No protests. No shouting. Just boxes stacked neatly by the door and a half-hearted, I need time to figure things out. I didn't answer. I went about my business. I left early, came home late, made coffee without conversation. I'd become invisible in my own house months before. Now, she could feel it too. Her lawyer called mine to try and negotiate. She wanted spousal support. My lawyer faxed over the financial records, everything the forensic audit uncovered. He also included the prenup, her signed acknowledgement, and a breakdown of how her infidelity had legally voided her claim to any long-term maintenance. That ended the call. Her credit cards were in her name now. The joint account was closed. The car she drove? Leased under the company name, which meant it was returned the moment Connor's conduct forced a restructure. She didn't even get to keep the keys. Her reputation started unraveling next. People talk, especially in small professional circles. Architects, design firms, planning committees, they all noticed when Connor disappeared. And when the rumor landed that he'd been involved with a partner's wife, the silence around his name got louder. He lost 2 offers. A speaking engagement. His LinkedIn went quiet. His wife filed first. I didn't send her anything, but I imagine she got the same folder I did. Janine's circle shrunk quickly. Brunch invitations stopped. Friends who once posted about girl boss weekends quietly deleted old photos. One mutual friend called me. Not to take side, just to say she always had a way of playing innocent. By the end of the month, she was gone. No goodbye. No last plea. Just a final rent check for the guest room and silence. She moved into a condo across town, paid for with the remnants of her personal account. No car. No house. No firm social ground to stand on. Meanwhile, I revised my will. Everything, the house, the trust, the firm shares, goes to my niece. The one who visited every Christmas and never asked for anything. Janine won't be mentioned. Some names aren't worth engraving. A year's passed. No contact. No calls. No messy apologies wrapped in nostalgia. She doesn't reach out. Not because she's over it, but because she knows I'm not the same man she thought she could quietly dismantle. I still live in the house. Still drink my coffee in the same chair. The silence isn't lonely anymore. It's deliberate. It's the sound of something that didn't break when pushed. Connor left the state. Started over somewhere out west, from what I heard. No firm, no backing, no mentions. His name vanished faster than he ever imagined. That's the thing about reputation. Once it cracks, you don't get to decide where the pieces land. Janine, last I heard, took a job selling furniture commissions. It's honest work. I don't wish her misery. I don't wish her anything. But I do know this. She spends every day explaining why she went from a life of gallery openings and travel to catalog orders and commission splits. People notice when your story shifts that hard. As for me, I sleep well, eat well, travel when I feel like it. My niece visits often, and when she does, she doesn't bring up the past. That's respect. She knows I handled it. Quietly, cleanly, with receipts instead of revenge. I never posted about it. Never gave speeches. Didn't drag her name through any courtroom mud. But the truth still landed where it needed to. If you've ever handled betrayal without breaking down, if you believe in dignity over drama, hit like, comment your name and city, and subscribe for more cold, calculated justice stories. Real people, real law, and nothing overdone. This is how we get even with facts, not fists.